Hello YouTube and welcome to another video with Voltrax Development. We haven't uploaded in a while, it's been a while. I haven't had much motivation recently. I am going to start pushing videos again now. So today in this video I'm just literally going to be explaining in depth what OAuth2 is. So OAuth2 is basically a very secure way of signing in with applications such as Discord, Google, Twitter. They all have different OAuth2s. Like you sometimes see on a website like login with Twitter or sign up with Twitter. That's going through OAuth2 to get your information from it. So today we're going to be looking at Discord OAuth2. So as you can see, it's done through their API. As you can see, and your client ID and client secret will come handy. So if I go into applications and I go to Discord bots and I click OAuth2, as you can see there's redirect links and all that, and you got your client ID, and then here you got your client secret, which I won't reveal. However, if we go back to documentation, go to OAuth2, oh no, we don't want that, OAuth2. So there's different endpoints, so identifies what's used most, which will get the user's information. Like it just identifies who the user is. If they're tag, right, it sends their username discriminator and user ID and all that. So yeah, returns the user object, and this is the user object here. However, the question mark, you have to literally be logged in as Okay, so I'm going to show you some code now. So we'll switch to Visual Studio Code. So here we are in Visual Studio Code. So this is a REST API that I've got, which is done using Express, as you can see, and then I'm using cookie parser for cookies, which will store the client's access token and refresh token, which I'll explain to you in a minute. So first, you have a login button on your website. So in our case, it's api.discordbots.co/OAuth2/login. So that's the endpoint for the URL. And then here we're just simply redirecting them to a login page, which sends you to authorize with the client. So I'll show you what I mean now. So as you can see, we're on the discordbots.co website, my website. If I hit login with Discord, it's going to redirect us, and you get this page where you hit authorize. So we won't hit authorize just yet while I'm explaining it to you, but this is what the login endpoint has done. It's redirected us simply to this login page. Let's take a moment away from our video to show you our partner, HostingBot. HostingBot is a cheap, fast and reliable hosting company, providing many plans such as Discord bot hosting, VPS hosting, web hosting, dedicated servers and hybrid servers. Get Discord bot hosting as cheap as $1.75 a month. Wait, we can knock that down to $1.40, as cheap as McDonald's fries. At checkout you can use our own personal promotional code, Voltrax, and this will take 20% off your final price. Would you look at that? It has knocked off 20%. If you're still having doubts, just look at all these happy customers. So let's have a look at this URL. So we have the authorize, which the client ID. These are URL parameters now. So you have the client ID, which is just your bot ID pretty much. The redirect URL, so we're redirecting it to our callback URL. So that's going to redirect us to OAuth/callback down here, which I'll explain to you in a minute. Then we have the response type, so we want a code to be returned into our URL parameters. And then the scopes, so in our case we're using identify, as I've shown you in the documentation a moment ago, which returns the user information. So that's what we're requesting. I could put like identify and guilds to get their guilds as well, a guild object. So scrolling down now, so the logout endpoint. So really I should be deauthorizing a token here, but I'm not. I am going to be implementing that though at some point. But for now I'm just simply deleting the cookie, and yeah, it logs them out since the cookie is not there anymore. Then once it logs them out, it's going to redirect them back to our home page, which is discordbots.co. So that's what happens if they log out. Now the callback endpoint. Here's the callback. So we're going to look at get token now. So if we go to get token right here, we're going to be making an API request. So by then you should also have a code. So in here, look, as you can see, request.query.code. When you click authorize, it's basically going to redirect you to a URL looking a bit like this, but you won't notice it since you're being redirected so fast. So it'd be like OAuth2/callback, and then you have question mark code equals, and then you'll have some random code there. It's grabbing the code from there. That's what request.query.code is. Okay, so what we're going to do now is basically it's going to exchange that code for an access token. Well, it's going to give you an object. It's going to have the refresh token, access token, and with the access token, then you can start doing stuff with the user. But for now, we need to exchange the code. So that's what this is doing now. We're making an API request to the Discord API for the token. So back to the documentation. So authorization code grant. So this is what we got here. So we have all this. We need a client ID, a client secret, grant type, which is going to be authorization code. Then you need the code that you got from your query string, which is in the URL. Then you need to redirect and your scopes again. So yeah, it looks similar to this. And then you'll get a response like this of your access token, the token type, when it expires, the refresh token, and what scopes it is. So that's exactly what I've done here. So we have the main URL along with the endpoint. It's going to be a post method, and the content type is application x www form and URL encoded. Then we can use URL search parameters in the body. So we have the client ID, the client secret, authorization underscore code is the grant type, the code from our parameter there, and then our redirect URL and our scopes. Then we want to return the response body right here, and that will give us the object as you just seen a moment ago. So you have the token here, which would be the object, and then we can set a cookie in the user's browser so that access token will be, it's obviously an object, so token.access token. We also want to store their refresh token, so you can refresh their access token when it expires, since they only last for a week as of today. And then yeah, the max age, I store it for that long, which is not 1 week. This is basically permanent, may as well be. Well, yeah, I think it is. But yeah, we'll redirect, and they'll be redirected to the main website again while logged in. And while they're logged in, it's getting that information, the user information from OAuth2 details, which we're making a request again in our OAuth2 manager get user. So I've actually customized the response a little bit. I've changed things up, but naturally it does return the ID, username, avatar, discriminator. But these two I've added in, customized myself. So we want to resolve a user, so we'll scroll up to resolve user. So we're making another API request, this time with the access token, and we're using bearer since that's the token type. So you can either have bearer or bot, but in this case we're not a bot, we're using bearer. So there's some error handling, so make sure that the response type isn't 401, otherwise that means you have an incorrect token. And then we're going to wait the response body, and then we're going to return the response body, which would be a user object. And if it fails, like if there is no user and there is a token there, then we're going to refresh the token. So we're making a request to this same endpoint as to get the access token, but we're going to have a refresh token instead. So we put the refresh token here, and the grant type is also going to be refresh underscore token. And again, we're handling errors, and we're simply just redirecting them to the home page if the refresh token's invalid. It will only be invalid if they've manually revoked access to the application. And then once that's updated, you'll get the same response as an access token, and then you can set this in the cookie again, and then return it. And then yeah, if there's a user it will return it. Otherwise, yeah, there's nothing else it can do. So that's basically it for OAuth2. Sorry if I went a bit faster, but that is literally the best way I could explain it to you, I'm afraid. It is a very intense thing to get around your head, but if you do enough like research on it, if you're really that curious and you have that much enthusiasm, I really encourage you to watch some videos about OAuth2 and try and do stuff yourself. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in another video.